What's up, gamers and geeks? Matt here with That's Fair Podcasting and Gaming Geeks Live. And many leaks and articles have suggested that the space age RPG created by Bethesda, that is now more or less stagnant, known as Starfield, could be in line for what they consider a Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 update fix. That's a tall task, because in my opinion, this formula that Bethesda put out left in a lot of ways us bored, confused, and quite unsure of the future of Bethesda if indeed they're going to follow that format with their other games that are going to be coming out after that. Now, could a Cyberpunk 2077 update type of fix save that video game? That's hard to tell. Stay tuned. Now, I'm in no way calling Starfield a failure, but I'm damn sure also not going to claim it as a major success. The reason being is because this to me is an ocean-sized planet in ankle-high water, where you had roaming NPCs or other people, citizens from the cities in Starfield, that literally, as populated as these cities were, you always felt alone. How weird was that? But if you are new here, please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live. Please like the video. You help us in that algorithm. I sincerely appreciate you guys doing that. And if you don't do any of those and you hear the latest update on how Starfield could be in for a Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 update, thanks for sticking with me. That's what matters the most. Not only have I continually stumbled upon different articles claiming that Starfield could be in line as early as next year to get the famous CDPR, Cyberpunk 2077 update fix, but it's also evidently launching on the PS5 and the Switch too. So if you guys are excited about that with those kind of consoles that you own, you're welcome. Now, there have been various sources that are saying there is a substantial update on the way for Starfield, as well as a rather decently sized another expansion, story narrative driven expansion or DLC, much in the way of Shattered Space. Hopefully it's nothing like Shattered Space, because that literally was just an absolute failure. And I'm not trying to dog Bethesda by any means here, because they are one of the most successful developing companies out there. I know that we're all waiting for Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5. I don't know about you. I haven't given up on them enough not to consider myself buying those in the future. But Shattered Space was literally one of the worst expansion DLCs I'd ever played, and I've played plenty of them. Now, Bethesda has been very quiet when it comes to Starfield. You don't hear a lot about it. I mean, obviously Todd Howard in the recent weeks has been talking about focusing on the Fallout franchise, whatever that means. Again, they launched a Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition that's still really hard to play right now. It's not completely fixed. They really need to work on that. And that doesn't seem to be in the works. Who knows? But I will say that there are supposed to be a cleanup as far as the alleged Cyberpunk 2077 style fix. Not only in gameplay, but possibly some of the quests, and definitely space exploration and space travel. So who knows? And they're even talking about possibly bringing in new systems to explore. Now, I don't know about you, but if that means new systems, does that mean just the same copy and paste shit that we got over and over? Todd Howard, before the launch of Starfield, did mention almost, I don't want to say he was braggadocious, but he did mention a few times how there were 1,000 or more planets to explore. But I think we all know that as we explored these planets moving forward, we didn't really feel like we were finding anything new. It was very, very underwhelming as far as any of the alien life. You kept going into the same type of structures and foundations that were all copy and pasted on all the different planets. So new systems doesn't necessarily mean a good update or a successful update in the terms that CDPR did with Cyberpunk 2077. As far as Bethesda, in time we'll see what they mean by this update. But in our minds, what does that mean when it comes to Bethesda? a little bit of mechanical fixes, and then relying on the creation club and content creators making new mods to ultimately usher in this game for an update. Because realistically, if it weren't for mods in the creation club, I'm not sure how much Fallout 4 would have survived. And I know that it has made a lot more for a better game in Starfield. But the problem is, here's where I'm having an issue. Bethesda seems to rely on the creation club and these content mod creators so heavily to keep these games alive. It's almost like, I'm sure that people in the creation club are probably getting some kind of kickback for their work, as they should, because realistically, they have made Fallout 4 and Starfield that much better just with their added on content. So it's, Bethesda released their own add-on DLC in Shattered Space, and it was just absolute shit. But then you go to the Creation Club content and mod creators, and these people are bringing in better things that Bethesda themselves are seemingly bringing in. And what does that say? As of 2023, Starfield had been, to this point anyway, their biggest launch yet. You heard the over a decade it took to create this game, to complete it. And it really left us underwhelmed in so many ways. Now, there are a lot of faithful fans out there for Starfield, and that's great, man. I'm not piling on you guys for loving Starfield, but when you're used to certain ways and certain formulas that Bethesda would launch, this is what they gave us, and I've never felt so empty in a game by Bethesda. I mean, I didn't think it was possible. Let me put it that way. And the improvements that I think they need to improve upon. Obviously, let's talk about the NPCs. With like Andrasia and Sarah Morgan, and all these other, all the NPCs, they were so bland. They were so just a shell of who we are used to in the likes of a Mass Effect trilogy. With those, with your team there, when you had like Garrus all the way to Miranda and Jack and Rex and Grunt, and you can go on and on and on. They had a whole character identity themselves, whereas the people like the NPCs in Sam Coe and like I said, Sarah Morgan and all those, there was just a dryness to them, and it didn't really feel, there needs to be an improvement in that formula as far as if you're going to do what CDPR did with Cyberpunk 2077. And then let's talk about, the planets that we were exploring. They're all devoid of life. Yeah, you had different things to scan, but you got tired of that. I didn't even scan half the shit you could. I haven't even visited a quarter of the planets that you can visit in this game. And the alien life, it was weak, and then you just had the same copy and paste of the same type of combat that happened every time you explored an abandoned station of some type. The immersion, the quality of immersion, it lacked so greatly that it caused so many people to put this game down before they could really invest their time into it. And for a Bethesda game on top of it, that is what shocks me the most. And then there was the space battle that it was so uninspiring as well. The space battles just were the same thing. You blow up a ship, you're able to add your rockets, your missiles, whatever you want to call them. Then you're able to add all these things on, and then you collect the scrap parts. But even then, if your ship isn't big enough, you can't even get it because you're already so heavily bogged down. And there are mod creators that came along to help cheat that a little bit, which they needed to. But I think the best mechanic of Starfield, the best game mechanic in Starfield, was the shipbuilding. That was actually that was satisfying to me, to create your own ship, add on more prefabs, just keep adding these hubs on, make the ship huge, and then of course thank you to content and mod creators to come out and actually give you a bigger boost of how many people you can have on your ship, because you make these massive ships and then the passenger limit was ridiculous. That made no sense to me. And then let's talk about the outpost building on top of it. They're bragging on having 1,000 or more planets, but then you're so limited on your outpost building. It's like, and even then you only have so much of a limit to build on the planet's surface. And I'm still waiting for a mod. If you guys in the comment section can tell me a good mod that allows me to have almost damn near unlimited amount of building just in one outpost on one planet, please share it in the comment section below. But outpost building is almost just rendered completely useless because you're so limited. Everything is just, you're handcuffed. And then what would follow is, as always with a Bethesda game now, the attempted bailout of the creation club, of your mod creators. If it weren't for mod creators, how many times could they have re-released Skyrim? I mean, that's the big question. Skyrim is probably their best game ever in terms of every way you look at a Bethesda video game. Granted, Fallout 3 was huge. I loved Elder Scrolls Oblivion, but Skyrim broke new ground. But then you could only take it so far, and then came the mod creators and the creation club. If it weren't for those people, I do not really believe Bethesda could have re-released Skyrim. I don't know, how many are we on now, like 700? So you have like so many different re-releases of one video game because they milked that cow, literally fleecing the gamers as much as they could for more and more money on a game that we kept coming back to. And thank the modders, don't thank Bethesda for the fact that us gamers keep coming back to Skyrim. Former Bethesda developer Bruce Nesmith Nesmith would go on record saying, yes, space in itself is inherently boring. However, Bethesda failed to captivate gamers with what they could have added onto these planets and the space exploration. We understand that, space is so vast. There's probably, popular, unpopular opinion, maybe there's absolutely nothing out there, which is kind of scary if you think about it. It's equally as scary to think there is something else out there versus nothing being out there. But having said that, I could see why Bruce Nesmith would literally say that space would be inherently boring. But as a video game developing company, you need to change that. You need to make it more entertaining because I don't know about you, but the space travel was boring. The space battle was boring. It just... It is so hard. I tried again a couple of months ago to get back into Starfield and I didn't make it 2 hours into the game. We need a big fix like CDPR did. Bethesda needs to take a major page from CD Projekt Red's book. But interestingly enough, there could be some rather exciting additions on the way for this game. I guess exciting in terms of what we'd already get in games we expect, which we did in Starfield. We expected this. So I guess exciting when it comes to Starfield, not so much in most video games. But there was a Windows Central Jez Corden published an article stating that a Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 update style fix was indeed on the way for Bethesda's Starfield. And in that, you're going to have space flight improvements. They're going to be allegedly doing away with loading screens altogether, which I don't mind the loading screens. You almost needed a break from the boredom. I know that's terrible to say, but also other exploration improvements as well, be it if you're on foot, I guess now in your buggy on the planet, or even in space. They're going to upgrade as far as the actual exploration improvements as well. Overall, exploration will be refined on every way from what we're able to understand with these upcoming improvements for Starfield. And with that will also be considered, also coming, not mentioned yet, but there will be some final content updates that should accompany this massive update for Starfield with yet another rather large story-driven DLC expansion. So maybe they learned from, Shattered Space, maybe they didn't. Now, having said all this, in your minds, and please let me know in the comments section, do you guys believe that this will be enough to even consider it a Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 update fix in the way CD Projekt Red did it? Can Bethesda do just what the previously mentioned or just now mentioned, what I told you? Can Bethesda do what CDPR did? I don't think that's going to be enough. I honestly think that there needs to be literal, story and NPC overhauls as well, because they are just god-awful boring. You can develop romantic relationships like you could in Skyrim. Even a marriage and whatnot, but you feel slighted on this one. You almost feel ripped off with the companionship. You feel alone in Starfield. I've never played a game where there were so many people, yet my protagonist felt alone. That's the first time it's been that bad. We need, again, an NPC overhaul and a story overhaul, not just these simple fixes that I've already mentioned. It needs to make a more meaningful impact in the long run, and don't give you a reason that, we're giving you more to explore with less to really enjoy. The depth was gone. You had this massive open world, but with no depth. But anyway, guys, that's really all I had. Again, this is about Bethesda allegedly bringing in this new update and fix that we saw. Well, because I guess Cyberpunk 2077 was released 5 years ago, and it released buggy and really hard to play. I'm not saying Bethesda did the same thing, but their game is still to this day hard to play 2 years later. But again, that's all I had, guys. Thank you so much. Please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcast and your Gaming Geeks Live. Again, please like the video, and you help me in that algorithm every time you do, and I appreciate it. And if you didn't do any of those and you just watch this video on Starfield getting a possible fix like Cyberpunk 2077, thank you so much. That's what matters the most. And to all you gamers out there, all love, and I'm outro.